All right, Ted, a significant rise in our local homeless population. That is the latest result from the Southern Nevada homeless census count, which was released this week. So what's causing the increase?
It hasn't rained in a long time, but when it does rain, it's very, very scary. You lose everything, unless you have like a system, like try to raise everything up.
And saving someone's life isn't just saving someone from death, it may be saving them from this. And this is horrible. Nobody should live like this.
The neon lights of Las Vegas sparkle, reflecting off the glass windows of luxury hotels, as if reinforcing the city's image as the world's entertainment paradise. But just a few kilometers from the bustling center, there's a completely different world. Dark, stuffy, and silent. In the underground tunnels, hundreds of people live without sunlight, making flood channels their temporary homes. This is the paradox of Nevada. Luxury on the surface, loneliness and uncertainty underground. A story of how the housing crisis, low wages, and extreme climate have left many people homeless in a land full of lights. Nevada isn't just about dazzling casinos and open deserts. There's another side that's often overlooked, a growing homelessness crisis. In 2024, around 10,106 people were recorded as experiencing homelessness, an increase of about 17% from the previous year. This isn't just a number, it represents lives without a place to call home. Looking closer, on a single night during the point-in-time (PIT) count, 8,666 individuals were found without homes, whether staying in shelters or sleeping on the streets or in tents. Imagine nearly 9,000 people without a roof over their heads on just that one night. But this crisis isn't limited to Las Vegas or Reno. In rural areas, small towns like Elko, Churchill, and even Carson City have also seen drastic increases in unsheltered homelessness. In Elko, for example, the number of unsheltered homeless people nearly doubled, while in Churchill, only 4 people were in shelters and the rest were outside. This means Nevada's homelessness story spreads everywhere, from the glamorous corners of Sin City to the quiet roads of rural towns. And the most affected populations? Veterans, families with children, and those experiencing chronic homelessness. The biggest epicenter is clearly in southern Nevada, especially in Clark County, the area that includes Las Vegas. Based on the 2024 point-in-time count, there were 7,906 homeless individuals recorded, an increase of around 20% compared to the previous year. This spike surprised many, especially since Las Vegas has long been known as a city of luxury tourism. But behind the grand stage, thousands of people are struggling just to get through the night. Interestingly, the data shows that 53% of them are living without shelter. That means more than half are actually sleeping on the streets, in cars, or in open spaces. This figure is slightly lower than last year's, but it still reflects how vulnerable the situation is on the ground. Mapping it out, most of the homeless population is concentrated on the east side of Las Vegas, an area the CDC classifies as having high social vulnerability, low healthcare access, high poverty rates, and heavier environmental risks. Now, when we talk about subpopulations, the dynamics become even more interesting. The number of homeless veterans dropped significantly, from 1,094 in 2023 to just 644 in 2024. That's good news, possibly due to special programs aimed at former military personnel. But on the other hand, some groups are becoming increasingly vulnerable. Families with children and those experiencing chronic homelessness are rising in number. This means more people are not just temporarily falling into homelessness, but are actually stuck in a long-term cycle without stable housing. Racial disparity is also a major issue. Black and Hispanic communities are shown to be much more vulnerable than other groups, a clear indication that homelessness in Nevada isn't just about lacking a place to live, it's also about structural inequality. If we trace the root of the problem, homelessness in Nevada isn't just about people being lazy, like the tired stereotype often thrown around. The issue is much more complex and systemic. Nevada is facing a severe housing shortage. Recent data shows there's a need for more than 78,000 affordable rental units specifically for low-income families. Just imagine, that number isn't just a statistic. It's equivalent to the entire population of a small city like Carson City not having a home. Rental prices are also skyrocketing. In Las Vegas, the average rent has reached $1,470 per month, while in Reno Sparks, it's even higher at $1,675 per month. Compared to the pre-pandemic years, the increase feels like a roller coaster with no brakes. On the other hand, the minimum wage in Nevada is still at $11.25 per hour. When you do the math, even full-time workers struggle to cover basic living costs, let alone rent. Simply put, even people who work hard can't afford to keep a roof over their heads. The term for this, working homeless. Behind the data lies a harsh reality. African Americans make up only about 12% of Nevada's population, but they account for 42% of the homeless population. That means there's a deep structural gap in access to decent jobs, education, and housing. It feels like a system that was set up from the start so that some people are destined to lose. During the pandemic, many families were helped by emergency programs, eviction moratoriums, rent subsidies, and cash assistance. But when those programs ended, many people who were already on the edge finally fell. Those who had barely been hanging on lost their grip. While the housing crisis has pushed thousands of Nevadans onto the streets, the reality on the ground reveals the most extreme face of homelessness in the state. In Las Vegas, there's another world tourists rarely see. A 600-mile network of storm drains has become home to at least 2,000 people. They've turned those stuffy concrete spaces into makeshift living quarters. Worn-out mattresses, makeshift shelves, even lights powered by car batteries. From the outside, it looks like a completely different world, like an underground city hidden beneath Las Vegas. But don't imagine it as comfortable. The environment is harsh, full of violence, theft, and haunted by fentanyl, nicknamed Black Death. Overdoses inside the tunnels are not uncommon, and with little access to medical help, many lives are lost just like that. Living there is like gambling every day, but the stakes are life and death, not a few coins in a slot machine. Outside the tunnels, other threats await. Nevada has one of the most extreme climates in the United States. Las Vegas has reached temperatures of 120 degrees Fahrenheit. For someone sleeping on the sidewalk, heat like that doesn't just cause dehydration. There have been cases of homeless individuals suffering second-degree burns just from lying on the scorching asphalt. Some have even died from heat stroke. Ironically, those dangerous flood tunnels become a form of shelter from the extreme heat. But during monsoon season, the water can surge and sweep away anyone inside. After talking about how extreme conditions on the ground make life for the homeless in Nevada feel like a never-ending road, now let's shift to the other side: response, policies, and challenges. Because behind that harsh reality, there are also serious efforts being made to break the cycle of homelessness. Several local organizations are on the front lines. For example, the Nevada Homeless Alliance and the Southern Nevada Homeless Continuum of Care, SNHCOC. They have a fairly ambitious vision to make homelessness rare, brief, and one-time, meaning if someone does fall into homelessness, it happens rarely, doesn't last long, and doesn't happen again. Other nonprofits like Help of Southern Nevada even go directly to high-traffic areas, offering outreach, food, and shelter referrals to people truly living on the streets. On a structural level, there's been a fairly progressive move, increasing non-congregate shelter beds. So instead of just large barracks full of beds, empty hotels or motels are being turned into more humane shelters. The numbers have gone up significantly, about a 62% increase in capacity over the past few years. However, not everything has gone smoothly. Some old policies left a bitter mark. During the Trump era, many federal programs were cut, and the approach leaned more toward law and order, cleaning up the streets rather than providing permanent housing. As a result, many homeless people in Las Vegas were pushed further into the underground world, into dark and dangerous tunnels. That funding cut is still being felt today. Federal funding for shelter services in Nevada is often unstable, forcing local organizations to scramble and fill the gaps with limited resources. In short, there are serious efforts at the community and local policy level, but the shadow of uncertainty from the federal level still lingers. The question is, are the current strategies strong enough to truly lift people out of this cycle? Or are they just holding back the tide before the crisis grows even worse? Beyond structural factors, immigration issues also add complexity to the problem. In both Reno and Las Vegas, many undocumented immigrants choose to avoid official shelters out of fear of being detected and deported. This fear has led to the rise of the hidden homeless, a group not recorded in official data, but very much present. This phenomenon adds another layer of vulnerability to Nevada's homelessness crisis. The root of homelessness in Nevada isn't just the lack of housing. It stems from a combination of the housing crisis, wages that don't match the cost of living, structural racism, extreme climate, and federal and local policies that often don't work together. So the solution must also be comprehensive, building more affordable rental units and permanent housing, developing safer and non-congregate shelter alternatives, and preparing for climate response, like cooling centers, heat-resistant shelters, and extreme weather mitigation. Just as important are protections for vulnerable, undocumented immigrants, and sustained investment from the federal government, the state, and the private sector.